Welcome to the Political Pour Up Podcast.
Grab a drink, pull up a chair. Grab a drink. This is the Political Pour Up.
Because we gonna need a drink for this.
Hello, and welcome to the Political Pour Up Podcast. I'm Sue.
I'm Jazz.
And I'm Jen.
And we are three friends who love to talk about politics. And we love to have a drink.
What's the
While we
singing this
do
week?
it. I know. I'm inspired by the horrible Joker movie of last weekend.
To see that Joker movie. That she's just gonna turn everything into a musical.
Singing my life.
Sing talking.
So yeah, it wasn't a good movie. But Lady Gaga was, as usual. Voice was on point.
Okay.
I enjoyed
I was like,
that
you
part
say that
of
it's
it.
not good, and you say
No,
she's
it was a horrible movie.
Good.
It was really
Right.
bad. But yeah, I tried.
Bless your
So,
heart
yeah.
for supporting.
This is episode 3. Woo! I'm gonna add in some type of cheer sound effect to that.
Yeah. See, that's the sound
And
effect.
yes, this is our third week, and so today we have some interesting topics that we're going to dive into. Of course, the election is coming up in, is it 24
Oh my
days now?
gosh.
I'm losing track. It's 20-something. It's around the corner.
It's close,
Some
y'all.
voter registration deadlines have passed. Others are coming up. And if you have not made your vote plan, now is the time. We encourage you to get out there and learn about the candidates, learn about the issues, and stay informed. So that's why we're here to recap what we've seen in the news and what's going on, and hopefully bring some things to light, dispel some mis and disinformation that is rampant on in the media and
In the streets.
in the streets. Before we get into all that, let's get the fun part out the way. What are we drinking today? Now, Jen came up with this delicious cocktail on the fly. It is...
Tell us what it is, Jen.
It's a nice fall combination. And every time I want a fall drink, it's like almost 80 degrees. Of course, it's
It was
70
80 today,
Yeah. But nevertheless, it's basically like an apple cider sangria. But we spiked it a little bit with Sue.
We put in some Calvados, which is apple brandy, brandy is, so if you're a Remy or, Hennessy,
It's a cognac, ain't it?
yeah, but Hennessy, cognac is a brandy from the cognac region of France.
Okay.
Calvados is apple
I should have
brandy.
paid.
School us.
Should have paid
And
way more
it's
attention.
really good. It's a little bit sweeter. Calvados is refined. It's
Earth
delicious. It's good for
Exactly.
a nice fall cocktail. You can put
Yes.
it in a nice muddled wine or like a
I
nice
was actually thinking
hot
about bringing a muddled
cocktail.
wine.
Yeah, we'll run it back when it actually gets cold outside.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Maybe warm it up or something.
Yes. So, but no, this is good.
No,
Did we
but
come up with
yeah.
a name for this apple cider sangria?
Well, that almost makes it sound like we have a name, but what are we calling it, Jen?
We gotta have a name. I guess we don't have to. GOTV.
Let's go with that.
Okay. Get out the vote.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
What did
We'll
you
go
think
with
it
that.
meant?
I was thinking, the ironic thing is I thought it was something, and now it just escaped my mind once you said it. But I was not thinking get out the vote. I thought it was something with with the vote, but
You having one of them geriatric moments.
I'm having it's been a long week. I'm tired.
It's okay, guys. We'll think of a cute name by the time we post the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
basically you get your, was it brandy we said it was?
Yes. Calvados.
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 Cut up your fruit, your oranges, your apples, some cinnamon sticks.
Calvados.
I was reading it when you sent it in the
Top
text.
it off with some wine, and there you have it.
Yeah. It's delicious. It's very, it could be either
Calvados is
refreshing,
what
relaxing, or just thirst quenching. I guess that's refreshing.
little
That's
sweet
the
for me.
definition of refreshing. But it's good. It's good. You
I
can
like it as a
moderate the
mixer.
sweet with some simple syrup if you want. We put a little bit.
Like topped off with some prosecco.
Oh, you not trying to be fancy?
Or maybe a little dry.
very dry-
Dry, yeah. If you
champagne.
don't want it as sweet, you cut it with some dry white wine. But yeah,
Yes.
whatever. It's good. It
I'm
definitely
glad
gets
you're
the job
enjoying it.
done.
It's getting the job done.
Because this week has been weakened.
What? What?
It's like I just turned everything into an adjective.
Yeah. As the person who's been saying life been life for forever, I can't get mad at you for the week's been
Yeah.
weekend.
Well,
Week been weekend. Today has been dancing.
the day has been daying because at the end of the day gonna end.
The day got to end.
The day gotta end.
Your feet
Shouts
on
out
the-
to our girl, Glow, who also released her album this week.
I know.
Got
Yes.
everything from
Fire.
the Word of God to T-Pain, giving us a little auto tune.
Love it.
To
Love it.
I've been loving
little
it.
Sexy Red. She got a little everything for everybody.
And that's fine. That's what you need. A nice wide
She got a
range.
nice-
She's
got a
got
nice-
range. And I love her voice. Like she's just so damn
Yeah,
cute to me.
She is cute to me too.
I do love her
She
voice.
is
Her
cute
voice
to
is
me.
amazing.
And them E's.
Yeah. They a struggle, but it's so cute.
It's the use that
No,
get
you
me.
right. It's the you.
Is it vowels?
Maybe it's vowels.
It was this one meme I remember seeing like weeks ago. And it was like, I know the letter U hate the Sierra. And I was thinking to myself,
I know,
but I
that's
was
right.
like, not more than it hates to see people from
She
Baltimore.
has a. Oh, stop.
People.
Although I do have plenty of Baltimore friends, and that is a going joke.
They know that's how they talk.
Doug.
But yeah.
Doug is the one that cracks me up. I'll never forget one time I had a friend telling me a story. I don't remember what the story was, but I just remember her saying something about the Doug. And I just remember being like halfway through it, and I was like, who is Doug? And she was like, the Doug. The Doug. Woof. I was like, oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. I spent a smooth 5 minutes trying to
I'm
figure
sorry.
out who
But
Doug
she's trying
was.
to say dog?
Yes.
Yes, they say Doug.
That's how they say dog. Doug. The dog.
Oh.
Dog wasn't something that always came up in conversation. So at the time, I really
I
was
thought
trying
you were
to figure
talking
out.
about Doug, like
I did. I thought
The-
she was too. I didn't know who Doug was.
a name, like Doug.
I was
Funny.
thoroughly
Doug
confused.
Imhoff.
I was like,
Doug
did I
Imhoff,
meet him
Doug Funny.
before?
The Dougie.
Right.
All right. Yes, our third episode, and y'all want to check and make sure that the mics are
right.
miking.
The mics are
As
miking.
mics should. Pro tip number
yeah.
one: when you do a podcast, make sure you do your sound check
Yeah.
before you
Well-
just go ahead and record for 2 hours because.
Well, every episode, I think that's really
Yeah, I
good.
think
Yeah,
we thought
just in
maybe
If they was good last time, we should be straight.
Yeah.
we could plug and play.
Apologies for everyone
Who made it suffer through that under the second
I mean,
episode.
We did our best. The message was still there.
We try to
Nevertheless.
keep it exciting.
But
was
yeah,
a great
hopefully,
episode.
hopefully when we go through this episode, the audio will be pristine in the way that we like it because we're perfectionists over here. Myself being a Capricorn, so y'all know all
But
that
you
shit.
know the Virgo.
But yeah, so we're getting into this episode. So Jazz, what's going on the gram? What are we seeing? What are the people talking about? What's the 411 girl?
One thing that I picked up on the gram this week that I really don't want to go into depths about so much just because these people are ignorant. And when I say these people, the people on the opposite side of the ticket, the Trump Vance ticket.
You can say we name drop on this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they get on my goddamn nerves.
Politics,
Okay?
yeah.
That's what's happening this week. I'm utterly tired of the racist rhetoric, the memes, the countless things that are being put out. The tweets on racist social or not truth social or whatever the hell it is. I am just
Social.
thoroughly exhausted.
Lie social.
I'm so through. Just like so everybody with a little melanin in their skin is clearly the second coming of the devil who you need to be afraid of. But one post that I did see that I found to be interesting was like, this is what your lease managers are going to look like, or your future
Your
property
landlords.
managers and landlords are going to look like, which was a picture of all Latino men,
That's
specifically, notably Latino men, with a bunch of tattoos and wearing wife beaters or tank tops and like some with
Insinuating
bandanas.
because
and
they
gang.
always have they always want to use the gang facade of people
Because-
coming across the border
but
as like
here's the irony in that.
mechanism.
I've met quite a few tatted up people. A few are
Right.
very much so stranger people I've never met. Tatted up Latino men. Some of the nicest people I ever met. I never forget. I met a guy on a plane. He looked like what you would have seen in that picture, like tats on the face, arm, hands.
But you know who that is.
And
It's
he
not
re-
geared towards you. It's
Well,
geared towards the people
he was
who
nice
find
as hell.
that extremely terrifying.
No, Sue, I'm just saying. Surprise,
we know
surprise.
that. Yeah.
Sometimes you're trying to sell things as people who seem scared. That man was the nicest man I met on the plane.
I'm sure he
to
was. I don't doubt that
I
at all.
held his hand because he was afraid to fly in the air.
Aw.
And when we landed in Miami, I ended up meeting up with him and his fiance and their dog around Christmas time. Wonderful people. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, what
I'm
I
just saying,
took
you
away
can't
from that
scare
is
me with
Jazz
that.
met
I
a
was like,
guy on the plane who was tatted up and then went and met his dog and his wife at Christmas time.
I was technically going to Miami
y'all
during
know,
Christmas
y'all
time.
who know Jazz is a extrovert and
He
she
looks
makes friends with
uncomfortable.
everybody.
And I was like, are you all right?
Yes, she does.
I mean,
You all
like,
right?
you cool?
But you,
If I'm on a plane and somebody look uncomfortable,
That's right.
I'ma
You need to check
ask
on
if
that
you all
person.
right.
Are
Yeah,
you
oh,
good?
exactly.
That's called being
Right.
safe.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
that's because
If
you
you
see
see
humanity in people, and I think that is
That's what's
lacking
missing.
on.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't even want to give it with so much time.
Yeah.
We should actually really give it a lot more time because it is very serious, but it's draining.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had surpassed dog whistles a long time ago. They are literally out here with bull horns and megaphones and loudspeakers and billboards with a PowerPoint and a goddamn pointer at every turn
I
trying to
feel
tell you
like-
crazy stuff. So
Wherever they get together and organize, it's almost like they spin the wheel and say, which racist trope are we going to play on this
Well-
week? And they pick one.
Jen, I always thought that maybe they come in and then depending on which part of the cross lights up first, that's which one they go with, where they write their
Yeah.
opinions at for where they gonna go this week.
Yeah, they do a lot of message testing.
Well, I
they
mean-
use think tanks to try to like.
They don't even need all of that.
They don't, but at the same time, it's
called-
like they know what is going to.
If you've seen
Rile
fascism
up
show up
their
in
voters.
history in different
Yeah.
parts
Exactly,
of,
like they
of
have
the
a
world,
playbook.
that is the playbook.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
not, a new
only do they
playbook
have the
that they're
playbook,
testing now.
but they have people in the country that are proving that playbook
That
to
is-
be effective.
Exactly.
And that's
the-
what they're
the-
using.
I mean, that playbook has worked on many people
It
around
has,
the world. I just think
and
it's a
America
way to,
is no different
Yeah.
than as we have highlighted a couple of other times. So,
I don't get my
that is-
rocks off
that
in
is unfortunate,
xenophobia and
but
racism. So it's exhausting.
bless
It
you for
is.
going
Facts.
on the last social and doing the Lord's work and trying to
I mean,
report out.
see the things that come
I can't do
across,
it.
and sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Let me exit out and go play my bingo game because you know where I find
Sometimes
joy.
you gotta
I like
step
to
away.
play bingo. I do. I enjoy bingo.
Okay, you're really leaning
I ain't
into
gonna
that
say I told
geriatric.
you.
I'm just gonna.
I
All right.
And my
yeah.
sense growing up as a very young Afro-Latina girl in Maryland, my great aunt
Yes, pull up. Sue
actually
is pulling up.
was
for
in
those who
charge of
can't
elderly
see.
services. So I went to the Latin senior bingo games a lot growing up, okay? I played bingo as a very young kid. And
I
all
love
my
that.
bingo terms I learned were in Spanish at first. So I had to
love
learn
that.
English. And I also learned that sometimes when you win too much,
That's why you
and
an old soul.
the old ladies don't like it. You could be as cute as you like, but they don't like it when you be out there winning. Because we play for pennies and like quarters and stuff. And when you win money and they not with their retirement, they're not happy to see you every Monday and Wednesday. I learned that.
Yeah.
And I also
I wouldn't be either.
That's when I
What
drink
this young
coffee.
bitch think
That's
she
probably
doing up in here?
That's probably why I don't
Right.
like coffee now. I was
Playing with
there
my bingo money.
five making coffee, drinking bingo. Let me make a coffee, playing bingo.
You was one of them little kids like, Lord willing, I'll be 6 tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Lord willing.
That's right.
You can always tell the
see fit.
kids
Nah.
to be around the elders.
Growing up, my dad every year, girl, you're 5 going on 25. You're 6 going on 36. Every year was a new one.
That'd be justice.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel
what
like that.
job do you have that you are so exhausted from?
I be
Ava
looking at, I used to be looking
Ava
at
too. I
kids
be
and
like, you and Nana gotta take a break. Cause Nana got you just as old.
Please.
Girl.
one of my favorite stations that when I was younger was Nick at Night.
Oh, girl, no, wait a minute.
I Love Lucy.
I Love Lucy was my
I Love Lucy
jam.
was my shit.
What?
Still.
Y'all want to hear a little something that's interesting?
Yeah, then we gotta
So
move
my
on.
we're going to, but this is actually funny
Right.
because you brought up I Love Lucy.
We really-
I'm sorry.
That was the first Latino person that most of us really saw on TV.
Oh,
So-
Desi Arnaz?
Yeah,
no,
because my mom
not
was
Desi.
like, yeah,
Was it Desi
yeah.
Arnaz?
My
Okay.
mom was like, there weren't really no Latino people, but he was Cuban,
Yeah.
so she was with
Yeah.
it.
He was cute.
And then my Cuban grandmother, her mother's name was actually Lucia Ricardo.
Oh.
So I got a Lucy Ricardo in my family. How you doing?
Wow.
Who was way before Lucille Ball, who we love.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna make me put that on my Christmas list because I used to have.
I have some I Love Lucy DVDs.
Oh, we can have them. I love Lucy night.
I would
I'll make
love
the
to.
snacks.
Chocolates, gotta bring the chocolates.
Okay, that's for
My
y'all. Y'all can
favorite
stuff them in your
episode.
cheeks and in your
That was
bras.
my Favorite episode, that and the wine and the
Oh,
grapes.
the wine and the grapes.
The grapes. I've always wanted to do that, though.
They have one in Maryland.
You told me about
yes,
that.
and I
sent it to
took
you
Ray.
guys.
I do want to do
sent
that.
it to you guys.
I do want to
I
do that.
took
Let's
Ray
do it.
to one actual grape stomp. This was very early in our relationship.
I remember you said wear dark colors, Jen. You
I
said
knew,
wear dark colors.
wear dark colors. Them jeans were done. And at first, he was so annoyed. Why are we here? Everybody
is it just
old.
with you?
No,
Like,
it's actually a competition. So there's 3 other girls.
say less.
Y'all know my husband's competitive. Right. So
I would've
this
stomped
white
the shit
guy
out
next
them
to us,
grapes.
right? He was like, he looked over, because at first Ray was not with it. He looked over, he said, "You're going down, buddy." Ray said, "What?" Say less. He move out the way.
He was like, "Watch your toes."
Wait, so
I
what's the
got
competition?
this.
How do you win? Like, you produce the most juice
You produce
from
the most. Who
grapes?
produces
Okay.
the most juice
That's
from the
cute.
grapes? So all
wanna
I
do
did
it.
was start using my foot to sweep the little
Sweep them over. Y'all
sweep
gotta
them
have-
over,
Girl,
so the juice
smarter,
couldn't
not
fall
harder.
out. I was like,
Oh,
boom.
that's how we play Mario Party. We have
Child.
a tag team plan. I'm
You
sorry.
would have thought we
Mario
went.
Party.
We
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta have a Mario Party night, girl. We just bought 2 extra controllers. Say less.
What, for the Switch?
Yes.
Oh,
say
yeah.
less. We got 4 controllers. We'll be over. Say less.
Looks like our fall is booked up.
Right.
You know what I realized?
Our
I was
fall
like,
plans just got a lot.
we
more.
just talk about what we've been up to this week, but
Oh,
who
we
needs to when we
didn't.
talk about what we about to do?
You
All
right.
right, there
You
we
right.
go.
There we go. Boom.
We didn't have to talk about what we did. We talk about what we gonna do.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
yeah.
And I'm with it.
Yeah,
All right.
for sure.
So I guess, but since we
we're here to
kinda
talk
went
about
on that
politics.
a little tangent, let's
Right,
go
yeah.
back. So the other things I think that kind of stood out on social media this week, first of all, was our main man Barack was out here going off, and we're gonna
yes.
really dive into that during the breakdown. But since he was out there doing the Lord's work, you know what I mean, just doing the
Oh, my
Lord's work and
gosh.
showing up. It was wonderful. There were so many takeaways from it. We will definitely get into
So
that.
many one-liners.
Well, where was
Ah.
he speaking? He was in Philly, right?
He
was it
was
Philly or
in-
Pittsburgh?
He was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I believe it's
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
He was in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
yeah.
So with that being said, that he did spark a conversation speaking specifically to black men and men, but specifically black men. But it was a message that rolled over to many a man. We did also come up, like, that ended up sparking a lot of conversation throughout. One of which was like a panel conversation from Roland Martin. That was a clip on black men that I thought would be really good to share. That we kind of took a
Can we play it?
Yeah,
go ahead,
yeah,
play it.
yeah.
Let's play it because it's really
It was
good.
thorough.
What is that? What is the specific agenda to black men that is so drastically different than black women? What is it?
So I don't necessarily know if it's that drastically different, right? So again, black people in general, we have historical disenfranchisement with the political process. We understand that. Black men have our own specific set of nuances and kind of disengagement with the political process because folks feel like they haven't been heard. They haven't been...
No. But okay,
hold on.
if they haven't been heard, what do they want to be heard about? That's what I want to know.
Their experience.
And what is that?
Their experience needs to be validated. So, I mean, essentially their experience is, school to prison pipeline, right?
Right.
Their experience is those specific things of being a male that allows gender-specific problems that necessarily sometimes get lost in the greater conversation.
Right. Like what?
Right. I mean, so school to prison pipeline is...
But here's the deal. If I pull the data right now, the suspension rates for black boys is on par with the suspension rates of black girls. So again, the only thing I'm asking is when I hear the nuances of black men, what I want to know is what's the nuance?
Well, economic opportunity. I would say that's one of them. Funding for education. Our education system is broken.
Okay, let's stop right there. Okay, funding for education. If black boys going to school and the black girls going to school, they're under the same funding paradigm. No. I'm not talking college. I'm talking elementary school, middle school, high school. So, school funding is not based upon gender. School funding is based upon enrollment.
But I would also say representation is extremely important for young black males as well.
Representation of what?
Like teachers in the classroom.
That's right.
There needs to be more black teachers, more black male presence in the classroom.
So here's what I'm trying to get at. I've had this conversation in so many different places, but what rarely happens are folks actually identifying the specific things that are different and they want addressed that then somebody can then address. And that to me is where the struggle is. I think what we have to, because here's what we have to do. We have to actually push back when somebody throws it out to force them to be specific. So, for instance, in this piece, and I've actually heard it, in this piece, the brother said, there's a perception that the Democratic Party is a party of women. Because, I'm telling you, I've heard this, a lot of brothers are bothered by when they hear black girl magic. And I'm just, if we're going to do with perceptions, I've heard this. I've heard brothers say, all I'm seeing are women being appointed and being touted. And I then go, okay, so they've done 200 federal judges, 58 black, 37 black women, 21 black men. I then ask them, how many existing federal judges are black men compared to black women? They can't answer that question because there's way more black men. So then I had a brother say, well, I'm seeing all these sisters. Supreme Court Justice. I'm like, okay, Ketanji Brown Jackson. That's one sister. There've only been 3 black people, 2 of them black men. There are 4 United States senators right now who are black, 1 black woman, LaFonza Butler, who leaves in January, and 3 black men. I then say, okay, there are more black male members of the U.S. House than black women. So I start walking these things through, and what I say to brothers is, okay, you're responding to recent history because they've been frozen out. 1972, Shirley Chisholm did not go to the black political convention in Gary, Indiana, because the black men there were clear they weren't going to support her for president. So I think what we have to do is we also have to, I think we as black men have to have some real conversations to brothers as well to say, if you're responding to certain things you're seeing, now ask, why am I seeing that? Because you're also correcting what are historical historical realities of folks being frozen out. And so that to me is a problem, because also if I started naming who are your top black Democratic leaders, Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader, man. Jim Clyburn, man. Jamie Harrison, head of the DNC, man. I mean, we could just start naming folks. And that to me, again, I think what has to happen, there has to be the constant pushback. Because if we don't force these brothers to have to answer that, I get feelings, I get perceptions, but I want to get down to, no, let me get to the core. What is your fundamental issue? And I think part of the problem with this conversation, I'm going to come to you, then I'm going to come to you, is that we are not pushing them to have to answer that central question. We are allowing emotions and perceptions and kind of stuff, what I heard, to rule that's not rooted in reality.
I know that's right, Roland.
Roland be doing the work.
It, okay?
I mean,
because love me some Roland Martin.
This is not the first.
That is my mom's favorite.
And
Roland
the Black
Martin
Star
is
Network,
always
shout
coming
out.
through.
I do appreciate them, and I do listen to them. So
Exactly.
if you get a chance, I do think that they do provide some unique perspectives, and they are funded as a black-owned media, soul-funded company.
Yes.
So,
and that's important. I mean,
shout out to him and to them.
Y'all know
he said so many things in that
so
clip
much,
that
and
were
I'm just so glad he pushed
so resonant. And
Yeah, Sue, can you post the link to that too?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll link the clip that we found it. Another thing, I guess there was really 2 clips that stood out. So that was the first one that really stood out to me. The second one that stood out to me was this one with, I don't know the gentleman's name, who was actually speaking about the Senate race in Maryland concerning Hogan.
Our good sis.
And our good
so
sis.
much to
Miss
say.
County Exec Angela also Brooks.
And this is another instance of perception versus reality.
So that's exactly
politics.
why. And the interesting thing is that this conversation is actually coming to my household because my fiance and I were talking one day, and he mentioned something about one of Hogan's ads and how they were saying that she cheated on her taxes. And he was like, well, I don't want anybody who's like cheating on things. And I was like, yeah, but they're playing that way out of proportion. And let's be honest about like what things are versus what other things. And so we actually had a little conversation about it. But when I saw this, I was like, you know what? Since we're going to talk a little about that today, this would also be something pertinent to put in. So let me pull that up for you guys.
Yeah, because I'm so tired of I don't mind the Hogan kind of Republican. I'm like, really? Let's think about that.
The thing about that is that it's great that you can be peaceful and decent, but I think that's what should be expected of all people.
Someone who has decorum, which is so foreign now.
But that's what I'm saying.
And that
he
actually
minimum.
acts like he behaves the way we expect an elected official to behave.
Yeah, but that's
he's kind of a liar. He has these ideas now that he is trying to put forth as his main policies that were not what he ran on when he ran for governor, and not something that was of issue for him. He was against abortion access. He was against tax cuts for the wealthy. He was against a lot of other things that...
He was for tax cuts for the wealthy.
He was for tax cuts for the wealthy. Sorry. I was talking about Bernie Sanders, not Larry Hogan. So I think, and what is interesting is that in a blue state, Larry Hogan is popular, but look at the makeup of Maryland. I mean,
he seems...
He seems more median, more likable, more central, less rigid than others.
And Maryland has not always been like a quote unquote blue state. Like we had Michael Steele was our lieutenant governor with, was it Robert Ehrlich back when we was in high school, and that was not that long ago.
But
I don't know how old y'all think we are, but it wasn't that long ago. And
I do Michael Steele now. We're gonna get on Michael Steele in another episode.
I like Michael Steele now.
We're gonna get on him in another episode because Michael Steele does swing on
transformation.
But no, this was not the same Michael Steele that was the head of the RNC.
When Romney ran, I think it was when Romney ran.
You can expect anybody
Romney and McCain. But anywho,
I'm just saying you can't expect a black person who is running for the top Republican. I am not surprised that black people who make a lot of money might vote Republican. I'm not, because I know black people who don't make a lot of money who want to make.
Let's go ahead and
back to Hogan and
so I
also
have a few
Brooks
realities of Hogan that have just always bothered me.
Well, we're gonna get into that during the thing. I just want to play the clip from social before we got, because it's one of the things that I did come across that I felt like summed up a good amount of information. I'm not saying it summed up everything regarding Hogan, and since that Senate race is hot right now, especially where we are, because we're in the DMV, which is I'm new to using that, but
we're in the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah, we all are from this DC, Maryland area. So we do have a unique perspective. And so I think that's why we have also we are very blessed. And that's why we're also highlighting this race specifically as opposed to maybe some others with a little more detail, I would say. So
I will say, before you play that, it is very key in control of the Senate.
Please,
because there are a lot of
because
Maryland has, if a Republican were to pick up, I don't know what.
Would this be like our second black woman in the Senate?
I mean, yes. Well, Alphonsa Butler,
It'd be number 2.
Yeah.
And in Delaware, there is another black woman
But I'm just saying, there's only been one black woman in the Senate, right?
No, Carol Mosley Braun and
or that's there now.
Yeah. And Kamala.
That's true.
VP.
That's right, Kamala.
So Alphonsa Butler is there now. Lisa Blunt Rochester is also running to replace the senator that is retiring from Delaware, whose name escapes me. She's currently a member of the House of Representatives, and she is running, and she has.
Instead of just doing Maryland, let's maybe do a deep dive on
we are
black
going to
female
have an episode for a lot of people who want like a nice little. Just tune in, because we're gonna get you up to speed on all our key Senate and House races.
Yeah, that will be coming closer to the election. So if you early vote, I'm assuming that if you early vote, then you are well versed in the topics and you know what's going on. At least you know when and where to early vote. So if you need that good old heave ho on election day, we got you right before election day.
Good old heave ho, all y'all geriatric at this point.
Oh, sorry.
That's the most geriatric thing on this thing today.
Play the clip.
Hey Maryland, did you know that you used to be a leader on making millionaires and billionaires pay their fair share? Yep, long before she or this guy had any plans for it. Maryland had one of the nation's first taxes on incomes over $1 million. So why did it end? This guy right here. Yep. Larry Hogan started a group called Change Maryland, who insisted that by making the literal 1% pay their fair share in taxes, they were getting scaled away from Maryland, and that they were moving. Even though data repeatedly showed there was no discernible link between tax policy and migration. Oh, and by the way, today, Maryland has the nation's second highest household income. So make no mistake, Hogan agrees with Trump when it comes to cutting taxes for the wealthy and underfunding any kind of assistance for working people. Here's him in 2021 criticizing Biden's plan to raise taxes on the wealthy and corporations.
We should separate out all of this other, family infrastructure they're talking about and all these massive tax hikes on the rich and on corporations and set that aside.
So ask yourself, would Hogan have voted for the Biden-Harris infrastructure bill? The same bill that sent $12 billion to Maryland to fund 193 infrastructure projects on everything from roads to water infrastructure, not to mention creating well-paying jobs for working-class Marylanders. Would Hogan have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, the same act that gave $6.5 billion to fund clean energy projects and create jobs across the state? His record says no. Maryland needs a leader who won't let it go underfunded just to give their rich buddies a tax break. Maryland needs someone who'll stand up to the 1% and make them pay their fair share. And that person is Angela Also Brooks.
Yes, but Larry Hogan is trying to become a completely different politician than the person that he was when he first ran for governor. Yeah.
Looked up his voting record.
You did, Jim? What you found out?
I did. I found out that he has vetoed many a bills. Anything that had to do with funding for like public services, schools, all of these things that people depend on, he was veto heavy with that pen.
Right.
And I realized we have to really think critically when business people become politicians, because there is also some incentive. This man, Maryland has always been known for their education system. We have one of the best education systems. Correct.
I wasn't going to say that, but you
in the country. Every year that he was governor, we dropped our placement in public education. Why? Because he took billions of dollars from education funding and put it into the privatized prison systems. Now, if we want to talk about Angela's little homestead tax cut, I want someone to go do the digging on exactly why.
$16,000?
I think it was 14, but neither here nor there. And that's
that part, opposed to his billion that he has taken from
I'm just saying
education funding. Yeah. I would love someone to follow the money trail.
If it's a tax difference of that little amount, it actually might have been just filling out paperwork and correct.
It was, and I guarantty you, she probably has an accountant.
I'm just saying, if you're really trying to commit fraud, nobody's trying to commit fraud for $10,000.
But it's property that she owned. I don't think people
which people also get on. Shouts out to Plies.
Plies got on the PPP folks this week.
Thank you. Okay, and is that? And I know
that should have been on our social media.
That is on the social media.
It is because Plies is my constant. I'll tell you like this: I'm here for Plies all day.
He is.
It's all I have to say.
Me too.
I'm here with it.
But
I love the pearly white.
Like I don't like.
I was with him with the golds, but pearly white's Plies.
The teeth are
Plies
immaculate.
is Plies the way Plies should. Okay.
I need the number for his dentist.
Girl, you tell you.
Jeez.
We know it's not the one that was in Atlanta that just got arrested, who was not a dentist but was a dentist, but we're not gonna talk about it.
Only in Atlanta.
Okay. Well,
I mean, with platinum smiles. Now he got platinum charges. Jail.
But yes, no, Plies. And I mean, you could hear the frustration in his voice. Like Plies is fed up. Like y'all don't piss Plies off. There were a lot of people who had businesses, quote unquote, during the time of COVID, who were found to not even have a job, let alone a business that was worth.
But they were getting that PPP
millions
money.
of dollars.
To all the motherfuckers who trying to sit out here and act like they believe that some motherfucking immigrants getting $10,000 worth of any motherfucking thing. $10,000 worth of food stamp, $10,000 any motherfucker, gift card, anything. I'ma tell y'all how I know y'all don't even believe no shit like that any motherfucker way. You don't even believe no bullshit like that. I'ma tell you how I motherfucking know. Cause if you really thought that some motherfucking immigrants were getting $10,000 of any motherfucking thing, you will have your motherfucking ass over there right now trying to act like you was a motherfucking immigrant. You'll be over there right now trying to act like you was motherfucking Hector. You'll be over there right motherfucking now trying to act like you was a motherfucking immigrant. Cause that's what you motherfucking did with motherfucking PPP loan motherfucking money. You knew that motherfucking PPP loan money when cause you ain't had no motherfucking business. You knew that PPP loan shit was for people who had lost small motherfucking business. You motherfucking knew that. But it ain't motherfucking stop you from running over there trying to get that motherfucking PPP loan money. Oh, you try to act like you hadn't just lost the motherfucking McDonald's. You wanted the motherfucking people to believe you had just lost your motherfucking McDonald's. Like you was the motherfucker that owned motherfucking McDonald's just to try to get some of that motherfucking PPP loan money. The motherfucking stimulus checks was out there. What you was out there do? Y'all motherfuckers was acting like dead people. You was acting like a motherfucker. You was willing to act like a motherfucking dead person. They're trying to get some of that motherfucking stimulus money out. So you ain't got no motherfucking morals. You can't have no motherfucking morals. If you fuck with Trump, you moralist. I know goddamn well you ain't got no motherfucking morals. Not if you fuck with 45.
That part.
Shouts out
Love
to
that man.
Plies.
That man is
Shouts out to
just,
Plies. Y'all need to have him at the next
better
rally.
as a politician
Plies
than
is a national treasure.
But you know what? I do think
I like
Democrats
his music,
need
but
to get
I love
better,
his politics.
which Obama did really well at, is just calling out the lies.
Obama speaks to a certain
Obama does speak down to
demographic.
to in
some
political realms of people being real. But
I think Plies reaches a totally different audience.
And we need that.
Yeah.
I mean,
we need that.
We need more of that.
I was with Plies when he said, "Put me on the MF."
No, that's
thing.
the one.
Give me the black man. That's the one we need to play. Give me the black man.
I said that. So we'll be not just that.
He was big mad on that.
But and I stand a black man on that. Like I love, please, more black men. Be mad. Dispel the BS. Y'all are reacting to recent history.
We got a lot of work to do.
It definitely has been interesting. I think before we dive into headline hangover, one thing that might leave us all with a little snicker
I'm already
was what we call
already snickering.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And then this week, it would be the black MAGA supporters who were out there not only supporting MAGA, but out there making a good buck off of it as a vendor with some others outside. And what happened?
Wait, what?
He was a black Trump supporter and got jumped
by two or three other white Trump supporters. Here.
Yeah, I mean,
and then the other black man tried to step in and help him.
Like you said, play stupid games, win stupid prize.
Where was the rally?
In Saginaw, Michigan. In Michigan, where Trump ran in 2016, or when I think he was running again in 2020, he was saying that how he was going to save all these like factory jobs and things of that nature in Michigan specifically. Mm-hmm. And then after that, several factory jobs closed. And it's only now, since the Biden-Harris administration, have they also reopened some of those. Yeah. So the irony that you're now going into this place where you're trying to woo people. Speaking of which, he also had a conversation with like the economic club or something in Detroit
where
and then proceeded to tell them that the rest of the world will be like Detroit to a whole bunch of people from Detroit in Detroit. I was like, and you see why people think
Detroit
that he's
is a
not
lovely city. I was just
aware. I'm just saying that's somebody who's not cognitively aware. You don't go to a place that you're looking for votes and then proceed to crap on the people who live in the place while you're in the place about the rest of the world maybe turning into that place. And honestly, it's code word for black. This is what is a code word for.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's something especially stupid about somebody who's on a campaign trail, goes to the city.
Yeah.
In which you are trying to win people, which you think is
shits on
them in their faces.
On purpose.
Even if you didn't know you were there, these are people that you're trying to get.
And see, that was more to Obama's point.
People that are that
during
you're
the rally. He brought up a very good point. He was like, I know about prices being how much it costs to raise a kid. I changed diapers. Donald Trump ever changed a diaper? And then the audience filled in the blank.
Honestly, I thought he probably don't even change his own.
And not even his own.
So,
that's really, and Obama said, I wanted to say that, but.
Well, okay. That seems like a good, nice segue into headline hangover. Jen, why don't you talk about the Obama rally?
So, yeah, Jasmine, thank you for that vivacious sip and scroll.
I tried. I tried.
The sip and scroll. The sip.
The sip and the scroll.
Well, no, Jen, technically you provided the sip this week. I just provided the scroll along with it.
Sipping.
I agree.
This is an equal opportunity enterprise. Everybody contributes.
Listen, I tried to throw something together.
Special.
I tried to throw something together, but I'll start with that rally, okay? Because it was priceless. Obama is just, he does what no other politician can do when it comes to attacking Trump in the most eloquent, sophisticated, but yet educated manner that you can't even be mad. Everyone loves the shade when Obama slams Trump.
I've been ready for shady Obama for so long, girl.
It was
I'm like,
perfect.
I need him to take the
very old. Very old.
Yes. I wasn't even watching. I was in the next, and, you know, I was at a friend's house and they happened to be watching it. And all of a sudden I just hear constantly trying to sell you stuff. Who does that? First it's gold sneakers, then it's the watch.
Infomercial?
And
he taking his cues from the My Pillow man.
Ever since the first My Pillow commercial, my mom would be like, I don't trust it. It seemed like something up. He seemed like something off. Why he got that cross around his neck like that? That cross did not read Christian to her. That cross read Antichrist to her. My mom was like, I know that's right. It. I would never buy anything like that. Who knows what they put in those pillows. Also, when I found out that, and I'm a person that does not make fun of people's struggles, but I just have a hard time believing that you wrote a book entitled From Crack to Pillows or whatever the hell it was called. It was the wildest title I've ever heard for a book in my life. In my entire life.
What book is this?
The book that he wrote. And it was about how
lying.
he went. I'm not.
I don't think you're lying.
I'm telling you right now, I never knew the man used to be a crack addict, and I'm glad he's made his way from addiction. The way he acts does not necessarily say that he may have
fully made the transition.
Yeah, but Mike Lindell? Was that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do want to just wrap it up with, I think Obama did something very important during that rally that the Democrats really need to do more of, which is just disputing the lies, but without getting in the dirt. But
now,
and he
did it dirty. He said, "Get out there and read them."
Get dirty. It was the best read that I think anyone has done on Donald Trump, and he was like, anybody with a foggy memory, you might remember. Oh, hey, I do remember that was. Speak on it. That was your economy. He said, I just cleaned up the Republicans' mess that they left me from the previous 8 years.
Oh, we know.
Like he was like, I did
we graduated from high school in that mess. Oh, from high school.
College
we graduated
in
from
that
college
mess.
in that mess. We know
mess.
very well.
Correct.
Real quick, I did find the title of the book.
What is it?
And it's called What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO, which I thought by far just is an odd thing, because even if you're a person who are struggling with addiction,
what are the odds
to be like from crack addict to CEO? Like, you could have just put that in different ways.
Donald Trump takes his economic cues from that man.
The irony is that his crack addiction is one of the least things that I worry about with his mental capacity. It's the least.
Who, Mike Lindell or Donald Trump?
So since we were talking about Obama, he made that off the record, but very much on the record stop with black men in Pittsburgh, which Jazz touched on already, so I won't go into that in depth. But again, we need more black men in politics having this conversation, because I think it's important to kind of combat, like to Roland Martin's point, was like these feelings and these emotions with the actual reality of the fact that black women now coming into power in certain places or coming into being elected, it's not taking anything away from black men. You are very much represented. But we can also support and represent black women and let them be represented.
And we've been working
represented like
for decades and centuries, and we've earned this moment.
We have. And it's very important because black women have always stood behind any effort that black men have led.
Not even stood behind, but stood alongside.
Period.
Were pushed to the back, no matter if it was the civil rights movement or the women's rights movement, whatever. And the intersectionality of what makes black women, one, the most oppressed demographic and the most liberated, because we had to come from the bottom literally to rise to the top.
We have supported every other effort, suffrage, whatever. Black women are just always there. And so now when we're finally getting elected to these positions of power, it's time for black men to stand up and say, yes, I stand behind this black woman. And we are not taking anything away from you. And this divide is just, it's really troubling, because another thing that has also been on the headlines and was brought up was that Trump is exploiting this.
Of course he is.
The place for you to run is not to vote for Trump and to vote for the other side. The place is to come and have a conversation, much like Roland Martin is doing, much like Obama is doing. But
because y'all all got a black mama.
Trump, period. And that's what I think about every time. And so what is really the issue? Are you saying that your mom or whoever, you don't look at the black women in your own life as capable of leading or leading you?
Depending on what your
not?
life upbringing might have been like, that could be a thing.
That could be.
Also,
but at the same time, you gonna put your trust in this sketchy white man?
Like, because at the end of the day, patriarchy rules.
I'm just saying that there's
but at the same time, you need to get past it. I think there is a reckoning,
and
I think
the time to get past it.
And I have thought that since Kamala has ascended to the presidential candidate, I thought that back in 2020 when she ran for president, I thought
so many black
America
men were not about
was
it.
like, yes, that is true, but also we had a black male president, and that was a wonderful experience. But I think that we're in such an existential crisis, and it did. And I mean, the backlash from that is how we got here now, because the Tea Party was a
not even
direct
the backlash, the white lash.
Yes,
correct.
There's a lot of work to be done in terms of patriarchy, and to me it goes across a lot of
I agree.
racial and cultural
Sure
lines.
does. I say all that to say that for all y'all black men that'll be quick to say strong black woman that's raised you, dear mama, get up and vote for Kamala. And that's where I'm gonna leave that at.
Yeah, and treat the women in your life better, because I think sometimes that shows up. How you interact with people around you is evident by how you show up to people who have nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Now we getting into preacher.
No, we
well,
are.
I'm just saying.
I
think that like
clearly I feel away.
to have
That's
such
a
big
whole
shows.
nother episode. But
okay,
all right, let's get really into the headline. All right, so we all know Florida was hit with yet another hurricane 2 weeks after Helene. And that really dominated the headlines this week.
Hurricane Milton.
Yeah, Hurricane Milton hit Florida. It was reported from the AP News just 2 weeks after the misery wrought by Hurricane Helene. The system led to at least 10 people dead. Also knocked out power for more than 3 million customers. And this is Milton we're talking about now. Yeah. Many still without power, flooded areas, tore the roof.
I saw that as well.
Oh, right, because that was
roof
where
off the baseball stadium where the first responders were saying.
So the roof was torn off of that.
This is in Florida.
This is in Florida. And then there were also
Milton
other
really
areas that weren't necessarily
really
going to
impact.
receive the rainfall and things from the hurricane.
The tornado is so
correct.
sad. Because there's not an area that's really
used to dealing with tornadoes at all.
Yeah.
And it's all tied up with discussion around global warming,
and the economy, because it also ties into like their insurance issues and funding.
It was a lot.
Sure.
So this week, which is something too that I don't think was always happening, but I feel like it needed to happen in this moment because of all the disinformation. But you saw President Biden, Vice President Harris,
Biden
FEMA.
almost cussed. I said, he about to cuss.
He was hot. He's sick of y'all.
He said, I'm sick of this.
He's sick of this.
Stuff.
Oh, he cursed like a sailor.
No.
Just not on camera.
I can tell. I know that pause. I know that pause.
Oh, you saw that? He caught himself.
I was.
Homeland Security and NOAA, where they came and they had a briefing about the hurricane. Yeah. And during that, they just talked about what they expected. They were very clear about things like storm surge, which can affect people's homes because you're talking about the whole first floor is flooded.
Or second. And unfortunately, in places like Florida, certain parts of Georgia, the Carolinas,
people live on single family homes.
Well, not even just that.
Homes.
I was going to say the insurance issue part in Florida is that people aren't able to get flood insurance, which is a more highly occurring thing now. All their other insurance companies that have been there have decided to leave because the amount of claims that people are filing now, which is another issue. And then they're also not renewing people's claims. And then the new insurance companies that come in are coming in.
They're just coming in so they can jack up the prices.
To jack up higher premiums, and then are also not delivering for these people. So it's really for a lot of those people in Florida specifically, where this is happening with flood insurance and disaster insurance, it's really just becoming like a revolving door of more misfortune, because now they're getting all of this misinformation. Not only that, all the governors that showed up, DeSantis was one of the only one who tried to play like, I don't know what number they called. Must not have got a call. Oh, maybe they talked with somebody else.
I can't stand.
Thankfully, most other governors are not playing politics because they know that their constituents.
He did finally come out and say that he spoke to Biden. He told him he has everything he needs.
What I took from that was that Kamala called him.
Oh yeah,
she
said
ignored
she called him. He was like, no.
He ignored the calls. And then when he finally did admit to saying that he got a call, he made sure to exclude her out of that because he has such an issue with it. So I don't want to give him any consolation prize.
No, we don't do that.
No, we're not giving no prizes around here.
No, I'm just
because
saying,
at the end of the
he
day,
flat out lied. And then
all of the Republican members of the House voted against funding
additional FEMA funding. And the thing about that is that what people don't understand, what stood out to me about this joint press conference they held is that the time that they had to take to dispel misinformation about
such a disservice.
It really is such a disservice to the people in need and just the function of government and how it should be functioning.
You know what,
and to me, it just speaks to where we are in politics in this country. It's crazy. But one of the things that they were saying is, no, FEMA is fully funded. And that's the thing, like this $750 is a new thing that they put in place so people could get something quick, immediate.
In the interim of getting the rest of the funds.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. And FEMA is funded. However, given the propensity of the storms and the frequency in which they are coming, there is a need. Anyone with common sense knows, hey, we need to get ahead of this and fund FEMA additionally so we're prepared for the future.
It's not like hurricanes happen year round. There's usually a concentrated season. Yeah. And when they pass this new bit of budgeting, I will say that I feel remiss if we do not mention that. They were about to shut the government down.
They were.
Because they are very used to doing this as holding all American people hostage. And they passed some kind of little quick partial funding.
$20 billion
But
for
I'm saying, in the time that they've been shutting down the government so regularly, they don't really care. And when they do not actually shut it down and extend a bit of, we're going to put this bit of budget in to hold over until this specific date, which does not fund the entire fiscal year, they're giving little bits of money and they're also chopping down on these things. So to me, I think that part of the conversation that I've heard about it, nobody is really mentioning the fact that, one, they have been trying to cut down on this funding. Two, they don't even try to give them what would be an actual full year of funding of a regular year of things happening. Not to mention the hurricane season happens mostly end of summer into
the
fall.
Time where you were supposed to pass a fiscal budget.
But what I'm saying is that's when fiscal years start.
Yeah.
Fiscal years don't start on January 1st.
No, they don't.
They start on October 1st.
Yeah.
They end on
and Congress is supposed
September 30th. And that's right at the height of hurricane season. Yeah. So if we're having a season that has more hurricanes that are more intense, there's going to be more funds that are going to be used literally during the tail end or the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Right.
That's something that needs to be funded the majority of the rest of the year because hurricanes do not come during those times.
Right,
so I think that there does need to be some context put around it.
Definitely.
As well as the fact that they are only providing partial funding. So we should not be surprised that the funding that they put forth to only hold over till literally the election or close to.
Exactly.
It's the only reason why they funded it. So it's not even being funded to the end of the actual year. It's literally only being funded to the beginning of November. So they put forth funding for 4 weeks.
Correct.
Or maybe 5 if you're being generous.
Correct.
And that's one of the things, like when you have a platform to dispel misinformation as it exists with the audience that you have, you should feel, especially if you care about the community, the people, the country, you should feel a desire to make sure that the narrative that you are putting forth is not in contradiction to reality. Like there was a black man that called into the Breakfast Club and he had some very interesting things to say about how the government does not care.
I will say this about
Democrats and Republicans do not care about anything. They are the same. They are not. One, government should be working for you. Well, if your government is not working for you and you have not voted in the past however elections, if you're not an active voter,
not working for your government.
You're not working for the government.
Not even working for your government, work for yourself.
But what I'm saying is, like, you can't just, in the face of an emergency, realize that now is the time to care about when government is supposed to work for me. I'm not trying to say people are ignorant to what is going on, but what I am saying is that you're not paying attention to who is in power.
I agree.
What I'm saying is that if you're not paying attention to something that's very much so accessible to you, and that actually affects you. And I hear a lot of people being like, oh, well, it don't really matter one way or the other. And I'm like,
Right.
do you live here? Because
Right.
if you live here, then the laws that are enacted here do affect you.
Right.
No matter in which way you choose to view it, they do affect you.
Right.
And also when you hear people talking about, oh, well, it's two sides of the same evil,
No.
or they both doing the same thing. People are so ready to just repeat something that sounds sensational, that sounds like it might speak. And unfortunately, they do it to a lot of people.
Don't edit it. Post the whole clip.
What I'm saying, they do this to a lot of you find people who take these hot bits and little tidbits and go on to purport to spread them.
Right.
A lot of times they do it to people who might be not in the best situation that they're in, or who can find some, or who have some grievance, and they tap into this grievance and they tell you some erroneous stuff that works against you, like, oh, all the votes, that this is voting for the same evil, or they don't even care about what you do, or they're not going to account. But I'm saying, if it was so much so that these things did not count, that these two different parties were working so much toward the same thing, you wouldn't have one that's working so much harder towards you not being engaged than one who is trying to get you engaged. And even if one wasn't trying to get you engaged, if one party is telling you to disengage totally through and for out and telling you don't need to vote and all this other stuff, you should be weary of that, because one, that's not how democracy works. Two, some of these messages that people tell you are not for the benefit of you.
Yeah. And also for me is that, yes, Florida has been a red state, solidly a red state. The Republicans
they did their
have
best to run all
dominated.
the black people out of there.
So the governor is a Republican, the senators are Republican, the state legislator, they have a majority. So what I'm saying,
most of the majority of the
infrastructure that will prepare you for a natural disaster is very much so a state situation. Look at what happened in Texas with the storm and the freeze.
The difference with Texas is that Texas has their own power grid. They don't think they need nobody else.
Power grid. That was very much a decision of the Republican government, and it failed. And that is why when they had that winter storm, which in Texas, it's snowing in Houston. Houston had the state of Texas had a very hard time with that because they privatized their electricity grid. That is very much so a state decision. That has nothing to do with the federal government. Every state monitors and manages their utility production for the people of their state independently. That it has nothing to do with the federal government. So if you're upset about the things that are going on in your state in terms of hurricane preparedness, the fact that it was impossible to get out of Tampa on the highways because they told you to evacuate at the last minute, and so of course the highways to get out were going to be
Disney didn't close till an hour before the hurricane hit the land.
It's like that is not something that the federal government has jurisdiction over, because states do have sovereignty in certain areas, and that is one of those areas. And so if you realize that your state is run by Republicans and you are upset about how your state is run, I don't understand the issue. I don't understand why you are saying like they're both the same, because they're not.
Also, might I say, when we're talking about local elections and people that are running in local elections, outside of natural disasters, pay attention to the people who fund and defund education, because education is very important.
Very.
That's how people know to even be able to process the information that's coming at one. Two, to just have the wherewithal to look through other things to find out what's going on. And some of these states where you see a lot of these natural disasters occurring, where poorest of people or people of color are being like the highest subjugated, and even people who aren't, it's really important to pay attention to education, because a lot of that is them telling you, like, for Florida to be going through all of the things that they're going through currently and having historic hurricanes weeks apart from each other, the way in which it is going is crazy to me, because Florida makes a point to X out so many things about book censoring, to X out so many things about educational censoring. They literally had lawmakers who made it illegal to mention the words climate change.
Yeah.
And now look at the people who live there.
Yeah.
One of the people who were down there covering the storm mentioned about like people in Florida not being able to get actual insurance, or their insurance being canceled. And DeSantis said, no, that's not happening. And within an hour
very
or
much
two,
so is happening.
But I'm saying is within an hour or two, it was still daylight during the time that they talked back to DeSantis. in the same area that you could tell by the background, he was like, yeah, we do have some places that some companies that are leaving. And I just find it like all of these things are very much so intertwined. Yeah. So when you see people trying to take money out of healthcare, trying to take money out of education, part of taking money out of education is you not knowing what's happening to you when it happens to you, when they try to do further things.
When you defund all types of civic education in the public schools, and
they probably don't even have civics classes.
No, they don't. What is civics?
In honesty, I never had a civics class, but I also had U.S. government. I took AP U.S. government.
There
was. We had to take.
You live in D.C.
Yeah,
you learned about it. That's what I'm saying.
When my mom went to high school in D.C., she was like, everybody had civics.
Right. But that segues into, we've touched on a lot of the connecting issues with the economy and how people feel about their money, the money that they earn, the money in their pocket, the money that they can use to buy a home, or the environment in which they can buy a home, the money that they can spend on healthcare, the availability of healthcare is all intertwined with this sense of the economy and overall well-being and livelihood. And I think one of the things, or the main thing that we wanted to talk about in this episode, but I feel like we've touched on it in a lot of different ways throughout, but the Harris Walls campaign put out a very comprehensive 80-plus page document about their economic plan, their opportunity economy. Kamala has been on the campaign trail talking about a lot of her plans to make things more affordable and building a very strong middle class. Kamala has been talking about a lot of things like expanding child tax credit to basically double what it is currently. And if you have a newborn, you get up to $6,000 as a child tax credit. Expanding the earned income credit, especially for people who do not have children, but allowing them to realize more tangible tax credits when they file their taxes. They don't feel like they're at a disadvantage because they don't have children. Providing down payment assistance for first-time home buyers in the sum of $25,000. That's a big deal, because I think if any one of us who are fortunate to own a home currently, myself not being not me yet, but I mean $25,000, that's a big damn deal. But I'm saying,
especially y'all out here in BG, y'all have a lot of great.
I'm in DC.
Okay, well,
even better.
I would say it depends. However, when you're buying a home,
there's a lot of housing assistance programs and down payment assistance programs.
There's a lot
of people who are
there's
looking
a lot of
into
people,
them,
and there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Well, so that $25,000 is make or break. Like for a lot of people, for instance, you know, that's difference in like draining your account to own a home.
Yeah,
and actually being able to maintain.
And if you have student loans, good luck saving that money. Student loans that the Biden-Harris administration has tried to either forgive completely or make more affordable, so you don't have to go into debt to your money.
Dip into your retirement.
I digress. So I think one of the main things that we see in terms of the economy and the things that are being talked about is, immigrants are taking our jobs. They're not taking anybody's job, because we currently have one of the highest unemployment rates on record, like in a long time. I don't have the specific data in front of me, but we have record high unemployment currently. I'd be interested to know what Black or brown jobs are being taken away from Black or brown people, because please let me know. Grocery prices, and I understand. I do the shopping in my household.
The Lord don't have to do it no more. Thank God.
I understand very much how prices show up as more expensive than I remember them to. And let's be,
because he's better at staying to the budget.
Oh my gosh, good for Rick. Oh.
My fiance does it. He's like, I could do it better without you.
The reason why I order things either for pickup or delivery is that it allows me to stay on budget. Because if I go into a grocery store with a shopping cart,
forget it.
I'm getting everything that looks pretty.
I'm leaving out spending hundreds more than I was supposed
spent
to.
like $150 and I had 6 things at the same time. I was like,
That is one of the reasons why I love online pickup orders or whatever.
Helps me budget. I'm like,
pickup will save you
this is
some
over
money.
my budget.
It will.
Delivery will mess your pockets up.
Like, yes, we all know that grocery prices are a little bit higher than we remember them.
My problem is I can't get the discount, but I can't get the sales on the app.
Yes, you can.
Nah.
What are you talking about? Yes,
Okay,
you can.
we digress.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
that's
grocery prices, we understand things are a little bit more expensive. I don't know if eggs are still $8, but at the same time, mind you, we did go through kind of a global pandemic. Like that
not
was
kind of.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, people are trying to put it in the back of their memory. It wasn't a thing. It was a big global
There's a lot of shit
thing.
you can put in the back of your memory.
That would have implications on the economy, but
Exactly.
I think a lot of people didn't appreciate what those would be.
I think people were not paying attention.
They're not paying attention. But what is
Including
interesting,
rich white people.
what is interesting about the economy is that a lot of the corporations that were doing very well during the pandemic, while Americans were suffering, were jacking up the prices on goods.
That's
and
how they was
continued
doing
to
well.
jack up the prices on goods after the economy leveled and after the pandemic, for the most part, subsided. And they have been on record as price gouging and just pretty much pricing goods in an amount that was astronomical compared to the level that they were before. So they're making more money off of
Correct.
the amount that we pay at the grocery store. They're making more money off of those goods than they were pre-pandemic because they realized they could and no one was going to check them on it. But the thing about Kamala's plan is that, Kamala has a history of going after predatory businesses. It was home lenders in the early 2010, late 2000s, early 2010s. She has a record of going after corporations who prey on or who use the system and use financial instability in situations and environments within the economy against the American people. Also with the home crisis, we're wondering why homes are so expensive. Because corporate real estate investors had bought up all the affordable homes in a lot of places and either tried to rent them out or resell them at astronomical prices. These corporations can go in and produce cash payments and outbid regular home buyers who cannot compete with that. And that is what they have done for the past couple of years, especially during the pandemic. So that's why home prices are very much so unaffordable and unattainable for some. But in addition to that, I think the most important part of any economic agenda that is being elevated by a presidential candidate is how they will tax the highest wealth individuals in the country. During Trump's 4 years, his tax plan, I think a lot of people who were in the middle to lower class felt a real tax burden with his tax plans. I did. I do my own taxes. I was not able to have as many of the deductions that I think we were all
some
used
deductions
to.
were very much removed.
Yeah, exactly. I was not able to realize a lot of the
certain
deductions that we were all used to. But the people that did get deductions were the wealthiest 1%. So in the Harris-Walsh tax plan, there is a plan to raise the corporate income tax rate to 28% from its current state at 21%. Trump wants to lower it to 15%, which would be lower than the 15% tax rate would be lower than the tax rate that is.
They'll be way more in their cars than they do.
No,
with their
that part, because yes. So, if you're a working class or middle class individual, we'll link both economic plans and specifically, you can read these plans. Some of them are very long. Kamala's plan is 86 pages long. I ain't reading all that. But if you really want to go to the heart of it, Penn Wharton, which is Wharton Business School, is one of the preeminent business schools in the country. They have an analysis of both plans, and it will pretty much tell you what it is in very plain language, in my assessment, what each economic plan will mean for you and where you sit. And if you're not a billionaire, for the most part,
don't apply to you.
It doesn't. Trump's tax plan is not going to help.
That's the thing.
And it's just going to make your life and your family's life worse. It's nothing about it is going to make your life better. So all of these people who are talking about Trump being better on the economy, he's only better for himself and the people who are rich and the people who want to give him money. And he has promised them a lot of things, and he's going to deliver. Okay, Jen, I know that, oh gosh, there is so much going on. So much information. What can we do? What can we do about this fucked up shit? Sorry. What can we do, Jen? Come on.
All right, so what can we do about the stuff that's happening right now?
The obvious is the vote. Get your voting plan. Like I told you guys, and I'm going to keep repeating it, is that toolkit for one. Make sure you, your family, your friends, 10 people or whoever, have a plan, know what's on the ballot, and we'll vote. But we did want to give some information for those impacted by the hurricanes in Florida. Voters impacted by hurricane and subsequent bad weather should contact their supervisor of elections for the most up-to-date voting guidance. In North Carolina, a person can register to vote same day during early voting, which is from October 17th through November 2nd. October 11th is not the last day to register in NC.
Don't let them lie to you.
Yeah.
That part. And
well, you can vote early. You can you go to your early voting precinct, bring your ID. You can register and vote on the same day.
On the same day.
If you don't have a North Carolina driver's license, you can bring whatever driver's license you have, any photo government ID that you have, and bring a utility bill or some other thing that's with your address, your North Carolina address on it. Go vote. Don't let them tell you.
Don't let them tell you otherwise.
And I would say that I don't know what all the if, ands, or buts are in places where they have a lot more restrictions, but I would say probably follow along the same restrictions that your DMV has about getting a license. The things that you need to bring in, whether it's a lease, whether it's a social security card, whether it's a passport. I think a lot of those things might actually help you mitigate some of these things.
It never helps to say it always helps to be prepared. So
yeah, I'm just
bring
saying,
everything.
Like, the
bring
things that it would
got.
take you to get an ID in the event you do not have one.
Yeah.
Just to bring those
and there are states that are allowing voters, especially in in North Carolina, if you have if you lost your ID in the
because of the hurricane,
there are a couple options that you have. You can either fill out an exemption form at the voting site. There's a box there that you can check as a victim of a natural disaster. You can go to the County Board of Elections. If you are a registered voter and you know you're a registered voter, you can take a photo of your printable. I know I have several photos of my actual ID on my phone. So if that's something that you have, they will accept that, or you can get a free ID from the DMV.
Also, don't forget to hashtag us in anything you do, because we would love to highlight your support and the things that you guys are doing in your community.
Yes.
Period.
All right. Well, see you next week. Bye.
Since the political board,
because we don't need a drink for this.